So Stephen Lovegrove, welcome to 7:30.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here.
You conducted a review of AUKUS for the incoming Labour government. What did you find?
I found that the commitment to the AUKUS programme, all parts of it, the submarine part of it, the advanced technology part of it, was as strong as ever in the UK, if anything more so. The challenge, I think, as much as anything else, is execution now. It's actually doing what we said that we were going to do in the optimal pathway. We are on track to hit the kind of timetables that we need to be able to hit. Feel pretty confident about that. Took a lot of soundings from colleagues in Australia and America as I was doing that. I made a variety of recommendations about the way in which we could improve and speed things up. And I'm glad to be here to be able to talk about some of those over this course of this week with Australian colleagues.
Now, speed is obviously an important topic and the focus of a lot of attention here in Australia. The UK government announced it wants to build 12 nuclear-powered subs, producing one sub every 18 months. How do you hit those targets when, in recent history, it's taken about 10 years to build each sub?
Well, the key to that is to make sure that you have the infrastructure and the shipyards in a position where they can actually produce boats at that drumbeat, at that tempo. The reason that we feel confident that we're going to be able to do that is that we are putting a lot of money, particularly into the main boatyard up in the northwest of the country in Barrow. We're going to be putting about £6 billion of UK taxpayer money into that before the end of the decade, another £500 million or so into one of our key steel works, and that will give us the extra capacity to be able to hit those kinds of targets.
Now, we know that Australia has committed $4.7 billion to the UK to enable both with the design of the new AUKUS boat, but also the supply of nuclear reactors to power those boats. How do we as Australian taxpayers know that we're getting good value for money? Your defence industry is not immune to scandal and delay.
Well, there is no defence industry in the world in history which has not had its ups and downs. I think you can read Samuel Pepys, and the stories sometimes repeat themselves. I should say that your officials, your ministers, have been extremely diligent in striking very hard bargains on behalf of your taxpayers certainly in the UK situation. I mean, there is no alternative, as you are aware, of building the nuclear cores in the UK. They will have to be built in Derby, and it makes sense, obviously, for Australian boats which are using British-built cores to get some kind of contribution from the Australian taxpayer. But I don't think you should worry too much that the negotiations have been hard but fair.
How concerned are you about the Pentagon review that we understand, at least from reporting, that it's underway, given that Under-Secretary Elbridge Colby has expressed deep scepticism about AUKUS in the past?
I'm not worried about the review, actually. The British Prime Minister asked me to do a review when his government took office. The review that has been done by Dennis Richardson in this country, in Australia, has, I think, just completed as well. I think it's entirely right and appropriate for new governments to look at programmes of this size, of this scale. The AUKUS is one of those programmes that brings enormous value to each of its partners. It certainly brings a great deal of value to the US. They are most interested in making sure that there are Virginias, the maximum number of Virginia submarines in the water at any given time. Now, clearly, one of the things that they're going to be looking at is whether or not they're building them fast enough. But one of the other crucial things they're going to be looking at is the massive contribution that Australia is making by allowing Western Australia to be used as a maintenance and sustainment hub. And that will mean that there are many more Virginias which are capable of being put to sea. So this is a sort of a real win-win for all of the nations. And I have no doubt that the review will come up with the answers which are good for the US, good for the partnership and good for security in this part of the world.
Just a quick question on Henderson. The Australian government's already put a lot of investment into Henderson. Would it be your recommendation to Australia that they beef up their funding to Henderson to enable them to take on some US subs maintenance more quickly?
I'm not really in a position to be able to answer that, I'm afraid. I'm going to Henderson and Western Australia tomorrow, and one of the reasons for doing so is to find out more about it. What I certainly do think is that, as they say, schedule is king here. We need to be acting at the speed of relevance. A crucial part of the whole of the AUKUS programme is, as I say, to make sure that there are the maximum number of existing Virginia boats in the water doing their very important job. If that requires, new investment in Henderson, that needs to be looked at pretty carefully.
You refer to the American review as if it's the same thing as the review that Dennis Richardson did of the submarine agency or the review that you did of the British end of AUKUS. There is a difference. Dennis Richardson is a supporter of AUKUS. You're a deep supporter of AUKUS. The question is around Elbridge Colby's scepticism. Do you not have any concerns, given he is someone who has said there are problems with the AUKUS submarine project?
I don't have concerns. I mean, I think that he is quite right to be looking at ways in which there can be improvements made in the project. No doubt he will be coming up with a series of very considered recommendations. I mean, we will be expecting to make a contribution to his deliberations, as indeed will Australian colleagues. When he was at his confirmation hearings, I don't think he described himself as a sceptic. I think he said that he was supportive of it, but he wanted to make sure it was doing exactly the right thing for the US interests. And I think they're, completely right to be able to do that.
Are you not concerned about having a third partner who's called AUKUS crazy?
I think there's a difference between what people say when they are in government and what they say when they are out of government. So I don't read too much into that, I'm afraid.
Is it not possible that what people say outside of government represents a deeper truth than what they think they can say once they hold a position in an administration?
There is huge bilateral support for AUKUS in the States. The US Navy is right behind it. I speak to them a lot. The State Department is very much behind it. Many players in the Defense Department are completely engaged in AUKUS and everything that it brings to the US. So I'm pretty comfortable that we'll end up with the right answer for the US, for Australia and the UK. This is a critical programme.
So Stephen Lovegrove, thank you very much indeed for joining us. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.